So in neurorehabilitation, music therapy is the use of music as a medium to work on a patient's rehabilitation goals with a music therapist who's trained and accredited. And we use music in a number of different ways. But I think the main point to emphasise is that it's the means to an end. It's not the end in and of itself. So we're not playing music to entertain people. We're not trying to teach people music in and of itself, but we're using music as a process through which to work on someone's rehabilitation goals. And we know that when we're processing music, it engages a lot of different areas in the brain at the same time, and it engages different areas in the brain when we sing versus when we speak. So that's why we can use music to teach people to speak again through singing when their language parts of their brain are damaged. We also know that rhythm is processed throughout the whole brain, which makes it very difficult to completely destroy the processing of rhythm from any kind of brain injury or stroke. And we use that a lot in therapy to help people with their physical rehabilitation, so their coordination of their right and left hand, when they're walking, improving the speed of their walking, the symmetry of their walking and things like that. So those really practical aspects that we use music in a way to get a functional outcome, but at the same time it's something that people connect with and have an emotional response to and are motivated by and have a greater endurance to participate for longer in their therapy because it's something fun, they're singing a song, they're moving to their favourite song. So we have these really great outcomes and patients report a lot of emotional benefit as well at the same time.
Okay.
So Emma was quite a unique case. She had a stroke at quite a young age, I think at 27, and she had a background as an OT. So she came, from a young, healthy, fit person straight away into this extremely disabled and not working body. So she had a lot of motivation and she knew about rehabilitation, but she was extremely frustrated as well. Her speech was very slurred, difficult to understand. She couldn't move her mouth properly. She couldn't walk properly. So with music therapy, we actually started, I think, from memory with her communication. So we worked on breathing and exercises to move her mouth and using her favourite songs that motivated her. So we were kind of almost having a dual purpose at that stage by giving her an outlet to listen to and to sing these songs. She would never call herself a singer and she was quite reluctant to sing at the start, but she saw the reason why we were explaining that it could help her communication. But I think she found a lot of emotional release through doing that as well. At the same time, we were practicing the movement of her mouth, her swallowing, her breathing, the loudness of her voice, the articulation of specific sounds, so picking songs that worked on sounds that were hard for her to say. So all of those really practical things were packaged up into a nice, enjoyable type of therapy. And then as we moved on down the track, we realised that it might be good because her walking, she had quite a hemiplegic gait, so she was very lopsided and spending more time on one side, one leg than the other. That we used music as a way to cue her walking to be more even and faster and more efficient. And we had this...
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt.
Further on down the track in her rehabilitation, we realised that because her gait was, her walking was really lopsided and she was spending more time on one leg than the other, we knew that the rhythm in music can sometimes calibrate that for people and help them to walk in time. So we had this instantaneous and quite amazing effect. The physios were really astounded when we saw it. So we ended up doing a lot of collaborative sessions where we would have music therapy in the physio gym and helping Emma to walk and giving her really strong rhythmic cues and helped her to walk faster and longer steps and spend more even amounts of time on each foot, which was great. And then we were able to try and phase out the music so that it would carry over into the rest of her session.
Okay.
I think music therapy has sort of dual roles. It really supplements and extends what happens in other therapies. So we're working on her communication, obviously she's having speech therapy already. So it's extending and making her work harder at the same time, so she's getting a double dose of that. The same thing in physio, and she's being much more efficient and working at a quicker pace and getting a faster effect than she would if she just had physio without the music. So there's that kind of amplifying effect of just making everything move faster and have more therapy. But there's also that emotional processing and which you can't really quantify, but it's life-changing, I think, for some people in their rehabilitation process. We've worked with lots of people who get to the point where they almost shut down from being so overwhelmed or so depressed or so can't think of the future that they don't want to participate in their therapies. And sometimes that's when the creative therapies do their best work, because we can engage, allow people to process and bring them back out, and sometimes even sneakily get some functional therapy in while we're doing the emotional processing. So I think music therapy is an integral part of a service like this, because it, as I said before, it supplements and extends the traditional therapies, and it provides something unique that other therapies can't address. So in music therapy, we write songs to help people process things. We write songs to help people remember things, their name, their family's name. That kind of stuff is really important to your sense of self and who you are. And if you don't have a way to do that, then that's, life-changing. So music therapy is really important to a rehabilitation program, because it improves the rate of recovery. So people have faster meeting their rehabilitation goals faster, because they're getting the double input of music therapy along with their physiotherapy, which is increasing the impact. But also music therapy is providing a service that isn't addressed by many other areas of therapy. So writing songs for people to help them remember important information is one example, or using singing to help people learn to speak again. It's, amazing results, and it can't be provided by another service. So music therapy, I think, adds to the efficiency of the service, because it speeds up the progress of the patient, and there's always more patients coming in. We've always got a backlog of patients. We have a waiting list, we have limited hours, so there are only so many patients that we can see, a percentage of the people who come through here. And ideally, we want to see everyone and work with everyone. And you do form bonds with the patients, because you're working with them through such a traumatic and pivotal point of their life and through their recovery. But there are always more people waiting to come through.